Gervonta Davis checks Devin Haney for trying to hop on the internet and pop off about Shakur Stevenson's performance. We're going to talk about that in this video. We also going to talk about the fight that took place with Shakur Stevenson and Edwin De Los Santos. But before we do all that, make sure that you hit my like button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure that you comment on the video after the video is done. So last night, Shakur Stevenson had his fight against Edwin De Los Santos. It was a boring fight. Wasn't action-packed at all. Neither fighter really wanted to engage. But Shakur Stevenson, he clearly won the fight with one hand. He didn't throw his left hand the whole night. I don't know if it was injured. Some speculation that was going around from Mark Kriegel and the people at ESPN said that Shakur Stevenson had a hand injury, in training camp. But when Shakur was asked about it, he didn't want to answer the question. He said he didn't want to make no excuses. But Shakur did come and say that he wasn't 100%. Now, I don't know if anything was wrong with Shakur Stevenson, but one thing I do know is that I've never seen him in a fight like this. A lot of people say, oh man, against Nakatila, he fought like that. No, he didn't. Against Nakatila, he won that fight, at mid-range. Most of the time, he was right there on Nakatila making him miss. Now, did he throw a lot of punches? Against Nakatila, he threw enough punches. He didn't throw a lot of combinations, but he surely did use his left hand. I went back and watched that fight this morning, actually, and he picked Nakatila apart. So Shakur Stevenson never been in a fight where he looked like this. Last night, he didn't engage at all. He didn't throw his left hand. Like I said, he might have threw 4 or 5 left hands the whole fight. But what he did is he showed that he has great footwork. He showed that he's a defensive wizard. And Edwin De Los Santos, he couldn't get off against Shakur. Anytime he tried to get off, he was swinging that air. Edwin De Los Santos also couldn't cut off the ring. But you can clearly see that De Los Santos is a dangerous fighter. You clearly see that he can crack. He's very fast. He's very fast with his hands and feet. And he has lightning quick reflexes. I told people that Edwin De Los Santos was going to be a much better opponent than a Frank Martin or pretty much anybody else in that division besides Gervonta Davis that Edwin De Los Santos can fight. Just because he didn't have a name like that and people really didn't know him, but I knew what type of fighter De Los Santos was. But it just shows that Shakur was just on a different level and was able to beat that man with one hand. And another thing people not talking about is Shakur set a CompuBox record, right, for the least amount of punches landed on him in a 12-round fight. Yeah, you can say that Shakur set the record, or you can say that Santos, set the record. De Los Santos landed the least amount of punches on an opponent in a 12-round fight. Now, we all know that's not the type of fight that fans want to see. Fans don't want to pay to see that type of fight. Shakur Stevenson knows that. But we all seen that Shakur Stevenson only used one hand, throughout the whole fight. He might have threw 4 or 5 left hands throughout the whole fight. So we know something wasn't right with Shakur. People will say, oh, well, he didn't want to engage because Edwin De Los Santos hits hard. Well, he don't hit that hard to make that man not throw his left hand the whole fight. Common sense will tell you that. Also, if you know anything about boxing, common sense will tell you that it's much easier beating a fighter using both of your hands than just one of them. But most of y'all don't have common sense. Shakur, at the end of the day, man, he did what he had to do to get the W. He came out with the win. He clearly won the fight. I don't know what people running around here talking about Edwin De Los Santos got robbed. Edwin De Los Santos, he couldn't get off. He couldn't land nothing clean on Shakur all night. Shakur had Edwin De Los Santos backpedaling on his back foot a lot of times. A lot of times Shakur was trying to get off on Edwin, and Edwin would wrap him up, so they were both doing a lot of holding. Like I said, it wasn't an eventful fight, but you can't blame Shakur Stevenson also for how Edwin De Los Santos fought last night because he didn't do nothing impressive. Like I said, neither man really wanted to engage and take too many chances. So Shakur did what he had to do, and he showed that, if he needs to, he can win a boring fight. He also showed if he needs to win the fight with one hand, he can also do that. And the great boxers, they can do that. Shakur bounced back, like everybody talking shit now, but all he got to do is come back, put on a great performance the next time he get in the ring, and shut everybody the F up. Shakur also understands that heavy is the head that wears the crown, and he talk a lot of shit, so he is going to get a lot of backlash. But like I said, this happened to the greats, right? I've seen Floyd Mayweather perform like this before, where he really just went out there, made it a boring fight, and won clearly in a boring contest. I've seen Rigondeaux put on performances like this throughout his whole career, but see, the problem with that is Rigondeaux did this, and that's why Rigondeaux couldn't get a lot of fights, and that's why people didn't want to pay to see Rigondeaux, because he made all of his fights boring. See, Shakur, this is the first time that Shakur's done this. No, he did not fight like that against Nakatila. It wasn't an action-packed fight, but it was nothing like this. Maybe this fight might hurt Shakur in the immediate future, but in the long run, he gonna be able to clear this up, and he will be able to get big fights. We've also seen the man that wanted to hop on Twitter, right, and run his mouth as soon as the fight was over with Shakur Stevenson, because he was crossing his fingers that something happened like this, or that Shakur Stevenson lost, because he ducked Shakur and didn't want to get in the ring with him, and he feeling salty because he didn't want to fight Shakur, so Shakur had to fight for his WBC strap last night. Devin Haney, right? Devin Haney hops on Twitter laughing and calling Shakur a bum and saying Shakur wants to clout chase him. But why are you hopping on Twitter, first of all, talking about Shakur Stevenson, when Devin, you got a fight coming up on December the 9th. The last fighter you need to be focused on is Shakur. So Devin Haney hops on Twitter. Like I said, he called Shakur a bum and say, this bum never wanted to fight me. He just uses my name to clout chase. And I was being generous offering this bum 25%. I should have offered him 10. First of all, if Shakur Stevenson is a bum, Devin, that means that you a super bum, because last time I checked, Shakur is the same man that's been whooping your ass since y'all was kids. Shakur is the same fighter that your daddy came out and said that he uses Shakur Stevenson to gauge to see how good you've gotten, because Shakur has always been better than you. Yeah, your daddy said that. Your daddy also said when Shakur Stevenson, right, get to the division, when the heat get on your ass, you was going to move up because you didn't want to fight him. And once again, you showed that you didn't want to fight Shakur Stevenson because you lied about giving him 25%. Jay Prince already said it was a lie. You never offered that man nothing. Bob Arum, the promoter that the offer would have had to go to, the promoter that would have had to put up the money and put on the fight, said that you were lying. You never sent Shakur Stevenson no offer. That you were lying. That you never put in no offer to Top Rank to fight Shakur. He also said that your daddy wasn't even interested in a fight with Shakur Stevenson. So we can clearly see that you salty, right? Because you ducked the man and you acting like that you haven't been in several fights that people were booing and boring. Devin Haney's MO was that he was a boring fighter for the longest time. Devin acting like he ain't win and put on no performances like these. The main complaint with Devin Haney and boxing fans before his last two fights is that Devin was a boring fighter. Devin didn't take no chances. Devin put on snooze fest. So Devin is the last one that should have hopped on the internet saying anything about Shakur Stevenson, because of that simple fact that I just said, that he has a history of putting on boring fights and how he ducked Shakur Stevenson clearly. And Gervonta Davis saw that, but Tank tweeted, he said, basically, nah, you talking about you gonna give Shakur Stevenson 10%, Bum, I'm gonna give you 10%. That's what I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna give you 10%. And Tank was letting them know, first of all, you getting on here popping shit like you the man. You're not the man. I'm the one. And you ain't offering nobody shit because I'll offer you 10%. So go back and sit the F down somewhere and shut your mouth while I put you back in your place. And that's basically what Gervonta Davis was telling him, right? When Tank hopped on Twitter and said, nigga, I'll offer you 10%. So, you know what I'm saying? I thought that was funny. He came out real quick and put Devin back in the place where he needs to be. You're the last one to have anything to say. And Devin talking about somebody clout chasing his name. Every time I turn around, any interview that Devin Haney doing, he talking about Shakur Stevenson and Tank Davis. So how can Devin say that anybody is clout chasing him when Every time I turn around, he doing interviews talking about Shakur Stevenson and Tank Davis, but he have a fight coming up with Regis Prograis. Every time his daddy do an interview, he's talking about Shakur Stevenson or Gervonta Davis, but they got a fight coming up with Regis Prograis in a whole nother weight division. But you continue to talk about Gervonta Davis and Shakur Stevenson. So who is the one clout chasing? Last time I checked, that sound like that you clout chasing both of them. And oh yeah, Devin, if you want your belt back, right, the same belt that Shakur Stevenson fought for because you had to get stripped because you didn't fight Shakur, if you want your belt back, it's easy. Come to 135 like your daddy came on my channel and said that you was never leaving the division, right, and lied about that. Come back to 135 and get your belt back, and you don't have to talk on Twitter, right? You can back it up in the ring. But we all know you don't want to do that because Shakur beat the hell out of you. We all know that you don't want to come to 35 because Tank will beat the shit out of you. And for those who don't know shit about boxing, Devin Haney possessed none of the attributes that Edwin De Los Santos had. Devin Haney don't have no power. Devin Haney can't do nothing better than Shakur Stevenson can do in the ring at all. If Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney were to fight, it would be a totally different fight than what y'all seen last night. Shakur will dominate Devin Haney. Bill Haney know that, and Devin Haney know it. And that is exactly the reason that Devin Haney is more comfortable talking about Shakur Stevenson and Gervonta Davis on Twitter instead of getting in the ring and fighting them. But y'all know how I do. Make sure that y'all drop a comment in the comment section. Make sure that y'all smash my like button. And y'all already know, there you go talking that boxing again, and I'm gone.